2024. You're going to want to try this Beefy Bacon Pot Roast. It's so moist and tender, and it's got that smoky flavor, and it's loaded with vegetables. And well, anyway, why am I talking about it? Let's make it. Well, let's start by taking about 6 slices of bacon and cutting it into small pieces. And we're going to brown that bacon in our Dutch oven. Now my bacon is a little bit frozen. I always buy not cured bacon so I don't have all those preservatives, and as a result I always store mine in the freezer because I don't want to take a risk with it going bad. So it is a tad bit frozen, but it will work out fine, trust me. This bacon isn't rendering much fat, and it is also having trouble turning brown, but it's getting there. I'm going to be draining it on a paper towel and setting it aside for later. Now you will want to preheat your oven to 325. That's Fahrenheit. I'm going to add a little oil to this. I'm using olive oil here. Now it's time to add our roast. What we're going to do is sear it on all sides. I happen to have a huge piece of meat here. Okay, let's sprinkle this with a little pepper. And then we want to put a little salt on top of it. We just need to braise it till it's nice and browned. So let's flip this over. And we want to braise all sides. So I'm doing the ends, the sides, the top, and the bottom. My meat is so big it hardly fits in my pan, but I'm forcing it. Now let's put pepper and salt on this side also. And then just keep turning it as it browns until all sides are brown. And if you're like me and I have several pieces of meat to do all of your meat until all of the sides are browned, and that will keep all the moisture in. And then you'll want to set it aside until later. So here's my other piece of meat. I've got about 5 pounds of roast here. So I've cut it into several pieces so that it's going to fit nicely. Or hopefully fit nicely in my pan. Doesn't that look delicious? You are really going to enjoy this recipe. Turn your heat down, and you're going to take 3 medium-sized onions, chopped roughly, and add them to this fat. Well, our oil, it's a mixture of fat and oil. And let's let those soften up some and release their flavors. Now you want to take about 3 or 4 carrots and 3 or 4 stalks of celery that have been chopped, and let's add these. Now these have softened some. Let's go on and add our garlic. And I'm putting lots of garlic in here. I've got about 10 cloves of garlic. Some of them are a little small, but you do want lots of garlic in this hot roast sauce. I've also taken fresh thyme and fresh rosemary, chopped it up. I didn't have quite as much as I wanted. I've only got about a tablespoon with it all together. I would have preferred to have had about 3 tablespoons. So let's stir that in and let that garlic and spices start herbs start releasing their flavors. I'm going to want this to cook for about a minute. Now what we want to do is take 2 cups of red wine, and I am doing dry January, but the alcohol will be boiled out or cooked out of this sauce, so don't worry about the alcohol in the wine. You're doing like me with dry January. And let's stir that in and scrape up the bits on the bottom. Yum, yum. smoky bacon flavor, all that garlic. Oh, and the tenderizing that the wine does to the beef. So important. Is it all gonna fit in here? We're gonna make it. We're gonna bring that to a boil, but let's also add 1 cup of water. Now, if you're adding broth instead of bouillon, you'll make that 1 cup of broth. Now, I'm doing bouillon, and of course, I've got to use Better Than Bouillon, and I'm gonna use lots of it. I love it. Here we go. That's about 3.5 tablespoons. Really good brothy flavor. Beef. I used the roast beef flavor. Now let's bring this to a boil. Okay, let's start adding my meat. Well, folks, close to the lid, huh? This was a huge piece of meat, and my pot just isn't quite big enough to make it fit. One last little piece. There we go. Okay, let's pour these juices in there. Okay, next you want to take that bacon you set aside and spread it across the top. And your sauce should be boiling now. Let me get that meat good and hot. Now we're going to put a lid on it and put it in a 325-degree oven for about 2.5 to 3 hours until it is tender. Well, our beefy bacon pot roast is finished. It's been smelling so good, I can't wait to try it. It is falling apart, but let's just get a bite here. Look at that. It is everything I wanted it to be. I can taste the smoky flavor from the bacon, and then all of the nice flavors from the vegetables, especially the garlic. Also, I'm serving this with black-eyed peas. This is New Year's Day, and so I've made up some black-eyed peas, some that I gotten fresh from the farmer's market, and let's see how they taste. Perfect. I actually cooked them in some of the leftover ham from the bourbon maple glazed ham I made a few weeks ago, and it really adds extra flavor to it. So, I'm swinging my fork around, but let me say I really appreciate you being here today, and I hope you give this recipe a try. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If so, please give me a like. Any questions or comments, please add them below, and in the description you'll find information on the ingredients and a link to the actual recipe at my website. So please subscribe if you aren't already one of my followers, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye now.